For easier orientation directly on the construction site, and as a form of boundaries while modeling, we need axes. We can make them, but it's simpler if we have already prepared axes to import them. Let's quickly check the building structure. Double left-click in an empty field to open building structure. We should be in drawing file number 2, axes, and only that drawing file should be active. I will bring the cursor closer to the point where all viewports connect, until I get an icon like this. That means that I can freely narrow and expand the viewports in order to get more space to work. In this case, more space for viewport plan 1. First of all, let's see what kind of file we want to insert. In the course material folder, which is part of this course, you can find a PDF file named Axes. If we open it, we can see that the paper format is A3, and what is important to us is a scale of 1 up to 100. Close the PDF and return to Allplan. Check the scale, and if it's not set, set it to 1 up to 100. Then go to the Allplan icon, located in the left upper corner, then import, and import PDF data. Allplan will ask us which PDF we want to load, and you need to navigate to the place where you saved course material folder and select a PDF, Axes. Here are several options, but let's leave everything as it is by default. It's important that we set the scale 1 by 100 before we did this, otherwise we would have to enter the appropriate scaling factor. For now, we leave the factor as 1 and press OK. Allplan will insert the PDF, and if we measure the distance between the two axes using the tool measure, then length, one left-click on the first point, and then left-click on the second point. The value will be displayed. That is actually what we wanted. If the values do not match, it means that the file you are importing is not the same scale as your scale in Allplan, so make sure your scales match before importing. Also, inserting a PDF can be done using the drag and drop method, so you can choose whatever is easier for you. Now that we have the axes, we can start drawing, but these axes are actually just ordinary 2D lines that we cannot see in the 3D view, and our possibilities with them are simply limited. What I actually want is to show you how to create 3D axes that we will later use to automatically add to our sections and floor plans. Let's now switch to a new drawing file, for example drawing file number 3, and call it 3D axes. Set drawing file in a red state, and also rename previous drawing file to 2D axes and put it in a gray state, so that we can use them as a template. Let's quickly check in which unit we are now and set centimeters. Switch to the Structural Framing tab, and the first icon in the row is the Axis Grid tool. One left-click on the tool, and the settings will open in the palette. First, we have the rotation angle of the grid. We don't want to modify that, so we leave the value 0. Choose the layer by clicking on the arrow down, and then select. All default Allplan layers are listed in the new window. We can create new layers, but since we already have a good database, let's use it. Click on the minus sign to collapse the entire layer structure, then find a layer that fits you. I will choose this one, which means Axis Grid in German, and press OK. Below are settings for line thickness, line type, and line color. We will leave it by default. Thickness 0.25, line type 11, and color 1 for black. For the X direction, we will enter the values 560, 270, and 220, respectively. The semicolon sign is very important because it actually tells Allplan that a value has been entered. An ordinary comma sign is used to enter a decimal value. So, if you enter values with a commas, Allplan will give you an error sign. Now we continue entering values 372 and 518. Set the angle to 90, and projection top, bottom represents just additional lines that extend up and down outside the grid. Enter a value 200 for both fields. For the Y direction, enter the values 400, 300, 400, angle 0, and distance left and right, 150, on both sides. There is also an option to multiply this grid in the Z direction. Such a grid can be useful if you are dealing with some steel structures, so you can snap points in 3D, but we don't need it for now, so we will leave the value 0. Let's go to the subtab label. And here you can simply take the settings from the screen, or play around to create some of your own settings. What I would recommend is to turn on the same for all axes option, and click on Set in the Text Parameters section to check whether the text height is set to 2.5 millimeters. If yes, click OK. And we still need to left-click somewhere on screen to choose a place for our grid. You can click anywhere, or you can try to find the point where axis A and axis 1 intersect. I'll click anywhere on the screen, and if you look at the 3D view, you will see that our axes are now visible, which means they are created as 3D elements. Now we can open Building Structure. You can adjust the size of this window to your liking and reduce or increase it as needed. We will turn off Drawing File Number 2 and press the shortcut Alt-2 to return the viewports to their initial state and to zoom in on all elements.